The voice of sharing, Durian ASEAN.
Hey, good morning. How are you guys doing? This is Arlene.
This is Gowri.
And I'm Asmod.
And we are at Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. Today we are going to kick off our ASEAN breakfast call with more news commentaries from Southeast Asia. Starting off, I guess before we start the news, how was your day, Gowri?
My day, it was awesome. It was the best day I've ever had.
It's just like 8 a.m.
Yeah, and it's already so great.
And one thing I want to highlight is this weekend is Gowri's birthday.
Okay.
Yeah, so
we should remember that.
Next Monday.
next Monday.
Yeah.
So I hope you will have fun, enjoy the weekend.
But your birthday comes first though on Thursday.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we are going to be 1 year older than we previously were. So how old are you going to turn? Or is it like secret?
Yeah, I don't really want to reveal that on radio.
So talking about birthday, actually I just want to highlight that, birthday is supposed to be the time where we celebrate, to me personally, it's a time for me to celebrate how matured I have become. I hope so. So anyway, let's start with our news today from the Brunei Times. The first, actually, the Brunei Times wanted to highlight on the CCAP help to reduce road accident by 5%. And Bandar Sri Begawan reported that road accidents have gone down by 5% since the introduction of the Driver Safety Practice System, or CCAP, the Minister of Communication said yesterday.
During the opening of the Ministry's Safety Week, Yang Berhormat Pehing Orang Kaya Hamza Palwan Dato Seri Setia His Abdullah Bagwan Mudim
You're the unlucky one today.
Dato Paduka Haj Bakar said, that was a name, said 4,139 drivers had been given demerit points. In 2010 and 2011, the total number of road accidents was 7,012. However, the figures decreased to 6,648 in 2012 and 2013, he added.
So this CCAP was actually launched last October to reduce the high rate of road accidents in the country. And the minister said that what we hope is that the factor of safety becomes a priority in the sectors of transportation and communications in this country. Unwavering commitment from various parties is needed to achieve Smart Society 2017, which is another of the ministry's goal. He also urged them to ensure that the environment, infrastructure, services, equipment, and vehicles are safe to use.
So, what do you get out of this story? I mean, actually, I'm quite glad that the Bruneians are focusing a lot on reducing car accidents, because in Malaysia, I think it's much more worse, the statistic. I'm not sure in your country, by the way.
In Nepal, the thing is, there are lots of accidents and the roads conditions are really worse.
Mm-hmm.
So that might play a huge factor versus, say, like in a country like Brunei. I don't think the road condition attribute that much to the accidents.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess in Malaysia, it happens mostly during the festive seasons like Hari Raya, Chinese New Year. There's always a ton of cars in the road, and there's always, no matter how much precaution the ministers try to take, there's always a lot of accidents happening. And I think the Smart Society here in Brunei is also somewhat similar to the Wawasan 2020 that we have in Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of their ways about going towards achieving that vision. And I think road safety is probably one of the best way to start, because it kills a lot of people every year, and it's definitely a good preventive measure.
And it's interesting that you highlight the word smart society, because in Singapore they have this intelligent nation blueprint or a master plan, and in Brunei they have this smart society 2017, and in Malaysia we used to have Wawasan 2020. I don't know whether it's still ongoing or it's already. I mean, people already forgotten.
Oh yeah, it's still ongoing, but I don't know if we're gonna get there or not. That's a different story, but it's definitely still there.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that I want to highlight about this Brunei case of the SICAP's help to reduce road accident is in Malaysia also. It happens when, like you say, it happens during festive times. And guess what is coming around the corner?
Hari Raya again.
Yeah, Hari Raya, and next week will the Ramadan will be starting, and when you fast, it's always like the time flies. In the beginning, if time flies very slow, and then suddenly you realize that it's 3 weeks already in your fasting month. 3 weeks within the fasting month, and the next week will be Raya already, and everybody
And I
will
think
be
we have
excited to go back.
We have an ops as well. I don't know if it's Ops Sikap, but it's another operation by the.
We have too many ops.
Yeah, that's right, and it's also to monitor the speed limit on the highway, and we also have all these advertisements on TV warning people about how you're going home to your loved ones, and you want to be safe. You don't want to arrive as a dead body, and people are looking forward to seeing you. But even then, I think it's probably just one of those things that is inevitable eventually.
Yeah, that's true. What about your area? I mean, right now
festive seasons, like when is the accident rate the highest?
I think it's interesting that most of the people in at least Kathmandu, they have their ancestry homes, like many people outside Kathmandu. So during the biggest festival in Nepal, people go.
What is the biggest festival in Nepal?
Is Dasai is right before Diwali. Lasts for 10 days. People go back to home. So accidents mostly do not occur in Kathmandu, but in the highways, because the roads are really worse, and people climb on the buses, it's not safe. They are overpacked. But still, when we look at the bigger picture, the accidents mostly do not happen in the cities, but on the point of transits.
So talking about accident, we move on to something less accidental. Actually, we will be talking about science and technology. So it's reported by Vientiane Time that it will be the first science and technology trade fair in which country is this? Is it in Laos or something?
I think it's Laos.
Laos, yeah. So a trade fair to highlight the research, goods, and achievements related to livelihoods and socio-economic development opened at Lao iTech in Vientiane yesterday.
Representatives from ministries, research institutes, the National University of Laos, factories, service enterprises from Vientiane, and other local administrations participated in this event to showcase their products and achievements.
And the exhibits boasted achievements in energy production, new materials, biotechnology, health, agriculture, food and beverages, even furniture and handicrafts, electronics, transport, engineering, and many other services. And at the trade fair press conference, the Minister of Science and Technology and Chairman of the Organizing Committee, Professor Dr. Boveng Kam Vongdara, said that the Science and Technology Trade Fair was the first such event organized in Laos and was an important step in providing an opportunity to the research sector, NUOL, academics, institutes, and private sectors to display their achievements on research and development.
So the main focus of the trade fair display were the use of technology and innovation, like I said earlier, in improving productions, processes, product quality, production effectiveness, product value, conservation of energy and raw materials, cost reduction, protection of the environment, and clean agricultural. To me, this is, for Laos being a backward country, this is something that is actually quite positive for its country's development. I never been to Laos, but based on my conversation with my Lao friends, they all say that, among all Southeast Asian countries, Laos is the most backward. They still have a huge land area of rural areas and forestry, very small town and all that.
Yeah, but I think this is a great platform that they've come up with for all these managers, researchers, and scientists to meet and probably exchange ideas and stuff. And this in various fields. Like there's a lot here, like science and technology, innovation, biotechnology, and I think all this can in a way help to make Laos a little better than what it is now. Because like you just mentioned, it is probably the most backward country in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, that's true.
I agree with you that the sooner the governments realize that they need heavy investing in education and research, the better they are going to be equipped for tomorrow.
But the problem with Laos, like a lot of Mekong River area countries, the government are very dictatorious. So in a sense that the government usually are very slow to respond to the needs of the people until, there's some sort of protest or dissatisfaction happening on the ground. And I mean, this is a similar sentiment across many countries in Indochina.
I think they were trying to build a dam as well a few months back.
Oh yeah,
and,
we reported it.
There was a huge outcry from the locals because it was going to affect their livelihood, whereas the government
the only
wanted
thing about
to
their
make money
GDP,
about from that because they're obviously getting sponsored and there will be a lot of money coming in, and so they were insistent about building the dam and
it will generate a lot of hydroelectrical power, and this will definitely increase the income level of the government. I mean, although at the same time, I think it will sort of boost the electricity energy of the region. I mean, the country. But on the long term cost is of course the cost of the livelihood of the locals as well as the cost of the environment.
As one of our previous speakers, Adrian here, was talking, like when you educate a mass of people and you can't give them opportunities, it's also dangerous because like there's brain drain, and like if they don't get enough opportunities in the country, what are they gonna do with the education? So yeah, the Lao government has come up with a plan. It seems like it's committed towards at least achieving high standards in education. But I think it should come hand in hand with broader policies so that people are at least guaranteed some form of employment according to their education.
I'm glad that you mentioned the word high standard. I mean, guess what? Which country that hasn't been maintaining its high standard is Malaysia. And I'm going to move to the next news, which is Malaysia has dropped to tier 3 towards ranking in the U.S. human trafficking report. So the United States government released countries' reports on human trafficking, and it turns out that in terms of our Malaysian report card book, we have dropped one tier from tier number 2 to tier number 3. And this has downgraded Malaysia along with 3 other countries, Thailand, the Gambia, and Venezuela, to tier 3 in its annual trafficking persons report.
The TIP report released by the State Department is a gauge of a particular country's response to fighting modern-day slavery. According to CNN, the report especially highlights Malaysia's problem with migrants from other Asian nations who seek to work on farms, factories, and construction sites, only to be trapped and have their passports taken and wages withheld.
And the TIP report also said that Malaysia had made inadequate efforts to improve its flawed victim protection regime and had investigated fewer trafficking cases in 2013 than in 2012. The Malaysian downgrade had been largely expected. The TIP report divides nations into 3 tiers based on their compliance with 11 minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking. And the tier 3 countries do not fully comply with the minimum standards and have not shown the US that they are making significant efforts that they should be doing.
I personally, I'm not surprised that we dropped to tier 3. I mean, it's quite interesting that they are working in Durian ASEAN made me realize that there are many NGO out there that are working in terms of countering the human trafficking issues in this country, and one of it is the Penang Stop Against Human Trafficking. I mean, they are doing wonders in terms of spreading the awareness, but awareness alone is not enough. I think in terms of implementing or enforcing the law is still at a very minimum enforcement. I mean, how can we become tier 3? And so, if our law enforcement is so good. And I heard from a friend of mine, I don't know whether it's true or not, Malaysia is the hub of many countries to go to another country when it comes to people, migrating to.
I think it makes sense though
To and
because
fro.
we're kind of strategically located right in between, and a lot of people, not just human traffickers, a lot of terrorists as well, as we have read in the past, they use Malaysia as the center point for them to rest, to transit, to go to the country that they want to. And I think, like you mentioned about the law enforcement too, like we know that drug trafficking, the only penalty you get is a death sentence, but it's not the same for human trafficking. It's much less severe than the penalty for drugs trafficking. So that's probably something that we should look at.
The report also mentioned that, people from countries like Cambodia, where the government has prohibited women from coming to Malaysia as household maids, they use other Middle Eastern countries to get to Malaysia, and that's the destination point. And once they get here, the employer sees their passport. They are forced to involve in sex. There are a bunch of reasons, and the report said that the U.S. had previously prevented the downgrading twice, and the Malaysian government had actually promised to go down, to improve its human rights condition, but it hasn't.
I think.
Sorry, I just want to add that actually it's not my. I just realized maybe my mind today is still not awakened yet. It's actually not a friend of mine, but actually an interview that I did last week on the International Refugee Day. So the person that I interviewed was someone who is a human rights lawyer, and she mentioned that Malaysia is a hub of countries. People from other countries to go to Malaysia and then go to another country. Not just for refugee, for migrant workers, for anyone who wants to go to another first world country, they will find Malaysia as a hub. And it's not just for people who want to run away from their country, also people who want to traffic people for another country, they will use Malaysia as a hub as well. And even though the country that signed the Refugee Act is only, within Southeast Asia, is only Philippines and also Indonesia. But interestingly, they would rather go to Malaysia than any other countries when it comes to these refugees.
I think apart from Malaysia, Thailand was also demoted, and they are definitely not happy about it. I came across a lot of news from Thailand that they are not too happy about US's decision. But some of the highlighting the trafficking in Thailand is usually for their sex industry. As we all know, they're probably one of the biggest sex industry in Southeast Asia.
Definitely.
And also for seafood and garment industries, where they employ these workers and pay them very, very minimum wage.
But I think Thailand was demoted partly, this is just my own expression, partly is because the regime of the military regime has taken over the country.
I agree with you.
So I think when it comes to the US, they are not really confident having a military junta to rule over Thailand.
And this could affect Thailand probably worse than Malaysia, because Thailand is actually receiving financial aids from the US, and this could also affect that in the way. And also, I think US is not happy with the way they're treating the Myanmar refugees that are in Thailand.
Remember the Cambodian refugees that flee Thailand because of a rumor that they heard?
Yeah, hundreds and thousands of them.
Yeah. So anyway, talking about refugees and human trafficking, we move to another news about the UN. Is reported by Karen News. I don't know whether it's Karen or Karen News. It's about UN experts joined international condemnation of Burma's proposed religious law. So a team of UN experts has added their weight for growing calls for Burma's government to scrap proposed contentious legislation that would restrict religious freedom. And the UN experts warned that the law were vague and subject to interpretation that may lead to discrimination against religious and ethnic minorities or the poor. adding that this process appear partly the interest of one particular group and simply propagates the spread of incitement of racial and religious hatred, which the government must do more to address.
The interfaith marriage law and the religion conversion law place restrictions on citizens' right to convert outside their own religion or to marry someone who is not in the same faith. Heiner Bielefeldt, the UN Special Rapporteur on freedom of religion or belief, said that the government had no place interfering with someone's private religious affairs and that laws which did were so illegitimate and incompatible with international human rights standards.
I think the freedom of religion or belief is a human right, and no law should be interfering with it.
Do you know when I read this piece of news with you all, I quickly the first country that comes to my mind is not Burma. It's actually Malaysia.
That's
like
right.
it's a total blueprint of what Malaysia is happening right now. But it's actually Burmese news. I don't know, but this. What is your view, Asmod? I mean, you come from a country that is also multi-religious, right?
The majority are Hindus, but they also like vast number of Buddhists and at least few percentages are Christians. The thing with Burma is like it's a Buddhist majority country, and the government is not being sensitive enough to racial minorities here. Versus in Nepal, the case is people have largely coexisted in a harmonious way, but nowadays the politicians are playing racial and ethnic politics. So they are saying to people, hey, like if you are from this region or this part of Nepal, why wouldn't you ask for a separate autonomous state? So racial politics and ethnic politics is definitely like surfacing up in Nepal, but it hasn't taken any special solid and rigid form like they are trying to do in Burma now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when I first read the news, right? I mean, when they want to propose a bill to ban interfaith marriage, in my mind is we don't even have an interfaith marriage in our own country. Like, how are we to argue with them proposing a ban on interfaith marriage? And I mean, I applaud countries like, for example, Indonesia that actually promotes interfaith marriage, even though not openly or promote it, but they don't ban it as well. So, I mean, to me, the beauty of people of different culture, different religion mixing together without, like having this idea of I want to impose my religion or my racial beliefs over you is definitely a beautiful concept of humanity. You just be with a person because of love, not because of, oh, he must be a Jew or he must be a Muslim, then I would marry him, or he must be a Buddhist.
And I think I've always personally had a problem with the government meddling with such personal issues. I think like religion or even your marriage and probably your even your race. When they come in and then they institutionalize it and saying that, oh, okay, this has to be this way and you have to believe in this and believe in that, and once you're married you have to convert to this. I think that makes it very hard for the individual, because a relationship with God is something very personal no matter what the religion is, and it's definitely not something that can be forced or enforced through law.
I mean, what if the person do not believe in religion at all? So he will be like without any bride or any partner, right? And the matter of the religious conversion law is sorry, to me is even worse, because to me a person should have the freedom to profess whatever beliefs that he wants to profess. Like, if I want to believe in a spaghetti monster, floating monster, I mean, it's my right. I mean, even though I don't believe in it, but I mean, a person should give the right to believe in whatever he wants to believe or she wants to believe.
Do you believe in a spaghetti floating monster?
Well, I believe in unicorn.
Because I'm trying to imagine that right now, floating spaghetti.
Okay, I mean, Asmod seems very serious when it comes to religious conversion. I mean, maybe you're agreeing with this. I mean,
no, I just think like once this laws institutionalized, they can bring dogma in people. Say like if there are two people and what the law says is like if a woman wants to marry a man, and if the woman is a Buddhist, the man has to convert to Buddhism. So this law has not been implemented, but say like 50 years down the road, people might have social stigma and dogma saying like, hey, if you want to marry me, like, why don't you respect my religion? Why don't you convert to Buddhism? So rather than just becoming a law on a piece of paper, it will actually be instilled in the mindset of people, and that can be very dangerous, because at that point, no matter, even if you try to remove the law and you succeed in that, you can't. It's very hard to change the mindset of people.
My understanding of this piece of issue is not so much. I think the sentiment is not so much about the law, but the sentiment is much more deeper than that. And as far as my own understanding of reading the history of the Rohingya and the Muslim in Burma, what I understand is they have always considered the people from the Rakhine, the Muslims in Rakhine, as not being part of the country. They believe that they are being exported from Bangladesh to come to the country itself. So, I mean, that's the reason why they see them as pendatang or outsider. I think similar sentiments also happening in Malaysia as well. Like, they see the Chinese and Indian as pendatang, just outsiders. So they should not have equal rights as the normal indigenous or the original people of the land.
Talking about indigenous people, I read a very interesting book on photography in Indonesia, and that basically told like how the Chinese played a very prominent role in creating modern Indonesian history. And like, so they're mostly photographers in the beginning, and while taking pictures of the so-called indigenous people and weaving a story, they took themselves out of the story, and they became the outsiders within the same nation. So like nationalities and nationalism is largely a myth which we want, like which nation states create, but we become a trap of it at the end.
Totally agree with that. And by the way, our time is we are at the end of our time now. We will continue back with actually a discussion on the World Cup, and Gowri will lead the way since she is a football buff.